Downing Street has erupted in fury over Nicola Sturgeon's handling of the coronavirus, accusing the First Minister of peddling her nationalist agenda to break up the Union during the global coronavirus pandemic. No 10 sources say it would be naive to believe Nicola Sturgeon is not considering the lens of dragging Scotland out of the UK when she tackles the coronavirus crisis in her nation. They accused Ms Sturgeon of spreading mixed messages and promoting a nationalist agenda. The remarks come amid claims Ms Sturgeon is trying to usurp the authority in Westminster by breaking away from the UK-wide strategy to tackle COVID-19. UK government insiders praised Ms Sturgeon for putting aside party politics to focus on the pandemic, but one told The Scotsman, "On the substance we've been very aligned. But there's been some difference on messaging. Things like Nicola Sturgeon making the announcement on schools a few hours early show that there is politics. She's a nationalist who wants to break up the United Kingdom, and it would be naive to say they're not considering that lens when they act." Another added, "In terms of the big picture, the Scottish and UK governments have remained very aligned on all the big issues." It comes after Ms Sturgeon admitted she would break from the UK's strategy to fight against COVID-19 if necessary. She told BBC's Andrew Marr, "I don't have the power to close the borders. But those are conversations we want to keep having with the UK government. On the question of Scotland doing things differently, not for the sake of it, we want. Only if the evidence and judgments tell us that is necessary." Ms Sturgeon has been accused of playing party politics by announcing decisions in relation to a c.o.r.o.n.avirus meeting ahead of Prime Minister Boris Johnson. She has also set up a Scottish volunteer scheme instead of a UK-wide scheme and has named the UK-funded NHS hospital after a Scottish nurse instead of NHS Nightingale Glasgow. According to the 5 tests, ministers must be confident any adjustments to the current measures will not risk a second peak of infections. But this was shifted on Tuesday, The Times reports, when new guidance stated that changes must not overwhelm the NHS. First Minister Ms Sturgeon has previously said if the lockdown was lifted too early in England, "I would want to make sure that Scotland did what I judged was best to protect the population." But she stressed the decision would not be political in any way, shape or form. Meanwhile, the SNP leader stunned officials in Downing Street when she released a detailed 25-page plan setting out how lockdown measures could be eased in the future. On Friday, Ms Sturgeon defended her stance, saying, "My job is to make the judgments I think are right for Scotland, and part of that judgment, given the nature of a virus, is to try to align our actions as much as we can with the other governments across these islands." Last week, Ms Sturgeon signalled she could split from the UK's strategy to fight the coronavirus again over concerns of easing the nationwide lockdown. Scottish sources accused Downing Street of softening on overall strategy after they appeared to shift from the 5 tests they say must be reached before the coronavirus lockdown measures can be adjusted.